part of what I went through in sessions, during our sessions in the beginning, right, in Mendocino, was this, you really gave me permission to embrace the whole of who I am. And even writing the Diamond Process book, I'll never forget, you had a very similar kind of diamond-looking crystal on your desk.
I did.
And you had it sitting there. Yep. And you had me take it home for that week. And you said, I want you to sit with this.
Yeah.
And you said, this is the perfect you.
Facets.
Exactly. And it so has informed my work today. You have no idea. It has had such an impact. And so you had me sit with, who are the other facets? Who am I? What are the other facets of my existence?
Yeah.
And it was the first time in sitting with you, I remember very angry, bitchy parts of me coming out. And you said, awesome, this is interesting. I want to see more of this. And I was like, wait, really? I'm not going to be punished for this? Like, it was very liberating to be met in that way. So for somebody who is, for example, I just got a question from a guy who wants to be all that he is, wants to be authentic, but he grew up in the Middle East somewhere, and I think it was the Middle East, but basically when people are authentic, they're hung. Like that, as a child, he witnessed that as a norm. If they break away from what is the norm, they are killed. So he was sincerely asking, how do I break through this? How can I be authentic when I have a sincere trauma inside that tells me I'll die if I'm authentic?
Is he still in that place where it's so dangerous to be himself?
I don't think so. I need to clarify that, because it was in a webinar he was asking it.
Question, boy, you want to send him to his death.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I assumed that that was in his childhood. He's not in that place anymore.
Well, you know what it means. That's why you would come here. It's because it was so safe.
Yeah.
Well, you kind of have a safe place.
Yes.
Do that work, If he's not in a safe place, there's not much of a conversation to have other than how to stay alive.
Yes, exactly.
But he's being forced to separate his inner truth from his outer world.
Yes.
He can't live in his truth.
Yeah.
He can't come out as who he is.
Yeah.
And can't get you to where you're trying to go,
Yeah.
Your inside has to match your outside.
Yes, absolutely. I love how you're saying that you have to have a safe place, because it's so true. It's like during those dark times, I can't even imagine how I would have gotten through without your guidance and your support.
Safe person, safe people too. It's not just the place. It's the people you bring around you.
Absolutely.
Because to do that kind of level of inner work, you got to open up to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to.
Yeah.
And that's going to make you vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to have safety.
Yes.
You have to.
Absolutely.
It's not a good idea to walk around vulnerable all the time.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really, you're going to get clobbered if you do that.
Right.
You can be open. I'm all for open.
Yeah.
But at times when you're really doing stuff where you need to open particularly delicate pieces, you're vulnerable.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So it's being discerning, right? Knowing where and when to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
So part of what I was sharing with this man, and I feel it's so important on the journey, is this idea of reparenting, and reparenting the inner child. Something you definitely encouraged me to do at the next level. I was doing some of that work, but you really brought it home to reparent that inner child who is hungry, starved, for compassion, for care, for acceptance, for love, for attention. So I remember what you had me do is basically go home, create an altar for the inner child so that she has a home.
Yes.
And
your home. You were bringing her to your home.
To my home.
She'd be safe.
Yes.
The past, present, future selves. That was your present self talking to your past self. And you were bringing her to your present.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I love it because it's kind of the inner work that is, so when we create that outer safe place, going to a healer or a therapist or having a coach, whatever it is, having that outer support, but then also the inner, which is bringing that support to the younger self and starting to embody that healthy mother or father for that child. That was instrumental for me. I've never shared this, but I remember I would actually imagine the little girl in bed at night, and I'd go into the guest bedroom and just imagine that was her room. It's going to bring tears to my eyes. And I remember just imagining her and just sending her so much love and giving her what I needed.
This is wonderful. Wow.
Yeah, I remember
That
just
was intuitive. You just knew that's what.
Totally. It came from your idea to, you said your home is her home now. Like you need to welcome her into your home. And so I was like, beyond the altar, I had an extra bedroom. And so I thought, well, this is her bedroom. So I just imagine, and I would literally just hear her, and I could feel it was such an alive, real energy. And for a while there, even in the car, I would be driving around and imagine the inner child in a whatever those car seats are in the back.
Yeah.
And I'd imagine that my inner child was in the car with me, and that I was constantly talking to her, telling her, you're safe, I love you, I'm present with you.
Oh, take her for ice cream.
Totally. Absolutely. And constantly asking that too. What do you need? What do you want? You know, and she'd be like, let's go to the beach and go pick up stones. And Mendocino was ideal for that, to heal the inner child. So for someone who is constantly triggered, really feeling upset all the time, just lost, disconnected, unseen, misunderstood by people, would you say a lot of that it's like coming from the dimension of the younger self, the inner child?
Depends on what your current reality is, you know. I mean, if you stay with that past self thing, there's the infant, there's the toddler, there's the grammar schooler, there's, you know, all the teenager, the pubescent, I mean, they're all parts of you. And what happened in your life at different phases, you know, different ages, is when you say inner child, it could be any of those, it could be all of those. People who suffered chronic abuse for over years, then they're dealing with many different ages of where that was. So it's complicated, you know. But the fundamental thing is that relationship, that how you learned how to be with her without becoming her.
Yes.
Then you were there to help her.
Yes.
But if you're with her and you become her, what happened to the adult? You know, she's gone.
Gone. Yeah. That is a very common thing. And that's such a big distinction, is you have helped me master that. I'm nowhere, not a master, let's say, but you really helped me to discern when I'm getting lost in her and getting sucked into that reality and how she actually needs. And I help others with this now. Like it's incredible how much of an influence you've had on my life and my work, but it's having that distinct, like, instead of having pity for the little one and getting lost in that little one, it's more so realizing I need to be clear and powerful and compassionate and loving and be the one who can embrace her, not get lost in her. That's the master.
What happened to her is not who she is. You got to see who she is, or he is. But I mean, if all you're focusing on is what happened to them and you're letting that define them, you haven't found who they are yet, because they're bigger than that. They're going to, and what you know that they don't know is they'll survive that. They're going to grow up. They're going to have a life. That part of their life will end and they'll leave.
Right.
And they're still taking who they are. They're also taking what happened to them.
Right.
But when you start to do the work you're talking about, then you're looking at the healing that never happened around what happened to them. It needs to get completed.
Yeah.
And basically what you're doing is talking about all of you called it reparenting, all of this stuff they need. They need to be seen. They need attention. They need to be, to feel that someone feels that they're worth something. They're of value. Yes. They need to be loved. They need to feel like they belong. Yeah. They need to attach. I mean, all just very human stuff, you know, absolutely. But it's crucial. And if you didn't get it, or you got something in its place that wasn't so healthy, you have to attend to it.
Yeah.
But it's not about what happened. It's about who you are.
I love it. Do you think people can do this work on their own?
Some no. Depends on the person. And I mean, some of it is so overwhelming you can get lost in it. You know, if it was traumatic, I mean, really at that level of stress, then it's pretty hard to do it on your own, because you're going to trigger the trauma feelings, and it's just
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's, you got to go where it is, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You can't transcend it.
Right.
Lots of people want to transcend it.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
sorry, you know, if the basement is flooded, you can go up in the attic all day long and have tea, but you know, the basement is flooded, and you're gonna have to go in the basement to fix that.
Figure it out. Yeah, you got to go into it. Exactly.
Yeah.
Really, okay, so this is my last question. I could literally have this conversation for hours. It's so juicy, but most people, right, are going into addiction in order to not look at the water in the basement, right? In order to transcend above and kind of get away from their pain and suffering. What would you say to someone who
Or just dull it to the point where they can stand it.
right,
We're talking about addiction.
right, addiction, so they numb out, right? But then
Depends on the drug.
whether it's a drug or food or sex or smoking or gambling or shopping, or right, there's so many forms of it.
Yeah, but it's not all numbing. Some of it is distraction of extreme sort, intense sort.
Yeah,
Takes your focus away from the pain.
right. And when they're taking their focus away from the pain, there's also an inability to receive genuine love, right? Because that part is like trapped behind the
Yeah, all you're trying to do is survive.
So how would somebody who is locked in a habit, an addiction, break free from that? So I know oftentimes people trade addictions. They might quit smoking, but then they jump into drinking or overeating or something like that. So what does somebody do any tips on how someone can break through their addiction?
You have to face what it's about. I mean, that's like a huge question, the really big one, not very pretty answer.
Yeah.
It's enormous work. You know, I would recommend Mate's book, Feeding the Hungry Ghosts. He has a very different look at addiction. It's really quite something. But he borrows it from the realm of the Buddhist, you know, the 6 realms of Buddhism, and one of them is the hungry ghost, the realm of the hungry ghost. You can feed them all day long; they'll never be satisfied. There's a huge hole in them, and it can't hold what they need. And there's a lot about hungry ghosts. It's a lot about pain.
Would you say there's a correlation between the inner child and that pain?
Could be, if that's where the wounds are. You could have started addiction in adulthood, around wounds in adulthood.
Yeah.
You came back from Afghanistan, and you were fine before that.
Wow.
Now you need some heroin.
Got it. Holy, I've never really thought about it in that context, because I'm always thinking about it as the inner child is typically in childhood is usually where things get stirred up. But then, there are examples of very healthy adults going to war and
not just war, but that's one. Addiction can start anytime. It's not all around childhood stuff.
So in regards to bringing this into everyday life, bringing this idea of becoming more and more of who you are every single day, healing every day, becoming whole, rather than like, I love how you talk about midlife, and it's like adding on to who you are. So I just see it's this process of becoming. It's just like nature is constantly growing and evolving into its most abundant self. What's one takeaway people could do every day or, on a daily basis to ensure that they're moving towards their best life?
It's a little odd, but I'm going to tell you a Stevie Wonder story. Okay? But I'm answering your question.
I get Steve's stories. This is part of the best thing about sitting in session with Steve, his stories, and they sit with you. Like a day later, I'm like, oh, okay, sorry, go ahead.
Okay. I went to see Stevie Wonder in concert. Arlene and I went to see Stevie Wonder. And well, this is a side trip, but I'll keep it 30 seconds.
Okay.
Here's how the concert started. I swear this is true. There's no warm-up act, okay? Everybody's sitting there, lights are up, we're all just kind of waiting for the show to start. and Stevie Wonder walks out on stage unannounced. He's got his hand in his daughter's arm, and she's one of his backup singers, and she leads him out. But he's got a microphone in his hand, and he comes out on stage when the audience realizes, oh my God, it's Stevie Wonder, and the audience goes nuts, and his daughter leaves the stage, and he's standing there telling us all basically to be quiet, and then he says, without any fanfare, my mom died a year ago, and I haven't been able to perform for a year. I needed time to grieve my mother's death. And I'm doing this tour, which was a very small tour, and he explained I'm only going to 6 cities. And it's my first time back out in a year. And he was only doing this like 2 shows at East Bay thing for the whole Bay Area. He didn't even go to LA.
Yeah.
But he said, I'm doing this because you have supported my music and my career, which allowed me to have the money to take care of my mother through her sickness and death as well as I possibly could. And I am so grateful to you for allowing me to be able to do that to my mom, that I came here to say thank you. Mm. And everybody in the audience is going, who does this? It's like, we're at a concert, what is this? Yeah. And then he says, I'd like to sing a song for my mom. Mm. And he walks down stage to his piano, and he sits down, and the lights all go black, and it's just a solo tight light, and he sings this beautiful song I've never heard before that clearly he wrote for his mother. Mm. And at the end of the song, and you can watch the band coming on stage behind him getting ready while he's singing these songs, just in the throw and the spill light, Mm-hmm. And it's just like an 18-piece band. I mean, it's like, and as soon as he finishes the song, he hits a couple buttons, and you get that wet sound, and it's Life in the City, and he's in that funk groove and a Stevie Wonder, and bam, the light comes up, and here's the band, and we're in the concert. And it's like, are you kidding me? The concert went on for 2.5 hours.
Wow.
He didn't do I'm going to bow now and go off and come back and do an encore. He just said, look, I'm playing till I'm done. Mm. And, we're going to get it done. And he played drums, he played guitars, he played pianos, he played harmonicas like I've never seen, but it was amazing. Anyway, when that show was over and we went out to the car, I was so moved by what I had just seen that I always keep a notepad and pen in the car. And I sat down and I wrote down 5 things. And they are taped to my computer right here. And I look at them every day.
Wow.
So here's the 5 things I wrote down, and that's the answer to your question. Okay? Here they are. This is from Stevie Wonder. This is not from me.
Okay.
Find your unique voice. Sing your song. Serve your message or your purpose or your cause or whatever it is. But serve it. Yeah. Mean it with all your heart. Keep it real. That's what I wrote down. So there you go. There's your answer. That's from Stevie.
Ooh. Thank you. Thank you.
Go see him if he's playing in LA. He's rather large now, yeah. But he'll still
rock it.
You see what I mean? You've never seen anybody like him.
So incredibly powerful. So
Yes.
incredibly powerful. And you know what? There is something about paying it forward, serving that message too. Yeah. Sometimes we can get so locked in our stories and our individual selves, but when you go out there and serve others.
And you know what it is you're doing. You're connected to what it means, your meaning, your purpose.
Yes.
Yeah. Then
absolutely.
You're living your life full on.
Yeah, and doing it real, hitting the get real button. I just thank you, Steve. I am so grateful to you in my life, as you know.
Yeah, well, me to you too. You didn't tell all those people what a fine actress you are, but you're a fine actress. I would work with you, and bam, right now.
Oh my God!
You've got to find a show.
Thank you. I mean, let's talk about that and see how.
I just finished a show that had a great part for you. I mean, I just finished reading a new play, won the Pulitzer Prize. It's amazing. It's like your guy in the Middle East. It's about being a Muslim in America. It's
Mm.
called Christ.
Wow.
It's unbelievable.
Wow. Oh my God. Yeah, there's the artist is ready, is just emerging again, thank God. But I do want to say to those who are watching, I get many questions sometimes of, where can I go to get private sessions or transformational, help, therapy, those such sorts of things. And I just want to suggest anyone, is it okay if I give people your email? Okay.
Phone, either way.
Yeah. So you work with people on phone now, yeah? Or
And Skype.
and
Yeah,
Skype?
although phone is hard, especially if you've never met.
Yeah,
Skype
Skype is better.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
In person is best.
Yeah, of
You know,
course. Yeah,
but
take
I'm
a tremendous,
slow.
and meet Steve. Yeah, and Elena, who does hypnotherapy. So Steve's wife, Elena, is another mentor of mine. Amazing, amazing woman, and we may do a video together as well. But if you are seeking, support, I highly recommend Steve. And I never do this because I'm super particular in this arena. And just talk about a safe space and very insightful, wise, and no BS. If you don't, the thing with you, Steve, is like somebody who can't handle like not being sugar coated. Like you're very clear and direct. And I love that about you because it helps me to just shake away any of the limitations quickly. So if for those of you who are ready for transformation and really to do the work in your life, to live your best life and to heal, you can reach out to Steve.
SILERMFC at mcn.org.
Awesome. And I'll put a link below as well. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Here is to becoming more and more of who we truly are, emerging into the infinite potential that we're here to be uniquely. And I thank you, Steve, for helping us and particularly helping me on my journey to do this. So all of my love, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. And we will see you, or I'll see you in the next video. Mwah!